at no point in this movie did she act like a 7-year-old.
My only thought was I have a 7-year-old, and he would have stood at that console and been like, I'm supposed to do what? Push the lever! What? Push the lever!
Dog liver!
Welcome back to the show where extinct franchises never stay buried. In this episode, we are doing a spoiler discussion for the new Jurassic World Rebirth film that just came out this past week. We've already posted our spoiler-free review. If you have not seen it already, check out that link up there or down in the comments below. We had a nice little discussion about what we thought about the film, which we gave a nice 3.5 out of 5. Cynthia kind of brought us down. But it's all right.
Tank the score.
Yeah. So, I'm your show host, Corey Winter. Joining me here for this discussion, we got the usual gang of dinosaur hunters or something. I don't know. We got Jason Summer.
Spikosaurus.
All right. We got my wife, Cynthia Winter.
Brachiosaurus.
We got my brother, Josh Winter.
Ostrich eggs.
All right. And we got our nerdy friend, Christian James.
2,000-year-old spoilers.
All right. Well, there we go. So, yes, if you have not seen this film already, you might want to tune away because we're going to be talking about all the story stuff that happened in this film. I'm sure Cynthia is going to get a little fiery about it because she's got some things to say.
I have a list.
She's got a whole list. She's going to break down the details of all this story stuff.
And I'm so excited to be sitting next to her.
Hey, Jason, summarize this movie for us.
It's been 30 years. It's been what, 23? No.
17?
17 years. No. From 93. Anyway, it's been 30 years, 32 years since
33 years.
33 years. Thank you. 33 years since the original Jurassic Park. Dinosaurs have started roaming the world. They are not surviving in any temperature or climate except that around the equator. The governments of the entire world have declared the equator a no-approach zone. But of course, we have to go there because that's where the
dinosaurs are.
That's where the MacGuffins are.
Yes.
So basically, Scarlett Johansson and company have to go on the top tier, biggest, scariest Pokemon Go excavation. And they have to collect 3 different Pokemon with little parachute rocket canisters. Somehow a family gets involved that didn't need to be there in the first place. Why the heck did they were even into the Atlantic? Why were they there? But somehow they got caught up in all this. And so we have to not only protect ourselves, protect the family, get the dinosaur blood, and then finish the movie.
No, it's fine. I liked it. I actually thought the premise was okay, and it's very believable because if there's anyone on the planet who would convince you to go places that you shouldn't go, it would be a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
That tracks.
Also, the amount of money that they're willing to throw behind it. Like, they've just got all the money in the world because they're a pharmaceutical company.
Yeah. The dollars don't matter.
They're like, we'll pay you whatever the heck you want.
The hell heck.
But as far as a story to get us back into the dinosaur land, I think it's pretty good. I mean, it was, yes, these dinosaurs have been here for a while, but they contain something that we can't get anywhere else. And they could save the world by doing that.
They added a level of morality to it and ethics with the whole, like, you know.
Now that we're doing it, are we doing it for the right reason?
Yeah, should we give this to everybody or should we privatize it and make our own money and live rich? Or should we, save 40% of the world's population from heart disease or whatever it was?
Yeah,
20. I could tell you weren't paying attention.
40 million.
Probably why your review was scored so low.
40 million people? They said 40 something. I think 40 million, 40%. I don't know.
No, he was like 40. Like 4 out of 10 people will develop heart disease or something like that.
Well, that would be 40%.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It was 20%.
It was 20%, but I think there was a 40 million in there.
Anyway.
A lot of people.
That point is not important.
It's not. But anyway, they added that level of ethics to it.
Yeah. So as far as the plot setup goes, they did spend like an hour getting us to the dinosaurs.
Oh, it was a full hour.
And that's one of the things I would have changed. If I was going to fix this movie, I could have tightened it up at least by 30 minutes.
See, I kind of liked it because it made me want the dinosaurs so much. It was more suspenseful, like, oh, when are they going to show up? And I liked the way that they showed up for the first time because it was kind of like a Jaws aspect. Like,
you mentioned that, and I also felt that a few times. And I wonder, this was a Steven Spielberg production. no directing credits, but he was the
Yeah.
producer on this, the executive producer. And there were I wouldn't say a lot, but there were plenty of instances where I'm like, this feels like a Steven Spielberg production. Like there were aspects of it where I'm like, this feels a little bit like Jaws. This feels a little bit like
Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park. And there were even a couple parts where I'm like, this is like
E.T.
I don't know about E.T., but Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
And I know that was a George Lucas, but Steven Spielberg also had a producer credit in that too.
He directed it.
Steven Spielberg did direct it. You're right.
Yeah.
Wait. Yeah.
George
you're
Lucas
right. George
wrote
Lucas wrote it. Thank
Yeah.
you for the correction.
It's okay.
Please don't kill me in the comments. Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's happening.
Yeah, I know. Anyway,
It'll be
It'll
me.
be Christian.
and here it comes. Anyway, but there were. So I thought that was really interesting, and that surprised me. And I'll admit, it kind of pulled on my nostalgia strings and probably bumped up my rating a little bit.
I just like when films don't throw you right into the middle of the plot. I love a good setup.
I know, but did we need 45 minutes of setup, or would 25 minutes of setup work?
I wouldn't have minded the length of the setup so much. Like, I wanted to go and see dinosaurs, but I understand you have to set it up. That's fine. I wouldn't have minded it so much had the acting and the storytelling been better. That, like, at that point, I was so ready to give up if something didn't happen, and then something happened, and that's the only reason I stayed awake.
So before we go just through the story beats, we're kind of dancing around this. We danced around it in our spoiler-free review, the family.
Yeah.
So the family storyline was a big part of the setup of this film. For some reason, they spent a lot of time on a little boat before Jaws showed up. So let's talk about the family and that entire plot.
They're all insufferable.
They are.
They really
Every
I can't say
single one
dirty
of them.
words on this show. They are so annoying. And okay, here's the thing I didn't even mention. The number one thing that made the least sense to me about this family, above everything else, they're on a transatlantic journey.
Yep.
From wherever to wherever. I stopped paying attention for some reason. I don't even remember why. It is made abundantly clear within the first few seconds of seeing this family that there's a dad, an older daughter, a younger daughter, and the older daughter's boyfriend, who is meant to be insufferable and annoying. He nailed it. He was, I could appreciate that. I didn't like him, but I could appreciate that.
You're not supposed to. Yeah.
Why? The dad made a comment at one point being like, well, honey, I guess I just thought it would be the three of us. This father does not know his daughter's boyfriend, and they are on a transatlantic journey in a tiny ass boat. And it's like he had never
Sailboat,
even,
by the way.
yeah,
Sailboat.
It's like he had never even met this kid.
Yeah.
Like literally had not met him before.
Just never mind all that. Why are they in a restricted area?
Yeah.
As a family.
I feel like you could still do a transatlantic thing without going into the dinosaur zone.
And he mentioned it in the movie. He was
The Atlantic's real big. Like, you can go other ways.
But he mentioned it and he was like, well, there's only been one report of an accident in the last 20 years or whatever it was. So the odds were really low. That doesn't change the fact you're in a like world restricted area.
Maybe if it was by yourself.
Yeah, you got an
But not your
adrenaline thing.
family.
But let's
Yeah.
take your kids and some stranger's kid that you don't know.
And honest, I wanted him to die. When he was, I was waiting for the boyfriend to like he had the red so the boat gets capsized. They're circled by the
Jaws.
the Jaws dinosaurs.
The Spinosaurus.
The Spinosaurus, yeah.
Sorry.
The kid, like somehow he gets off the boat and he's getting the red emergency kit and he's swimming back to the boat and he throws his arm up with the red emergency kit. I'm like, oh good, they got the emergency kit. They
He can die
bite him
now.
off
He
from
can
the
die.
elbow down.
Or just
I
like
was like-
legs.
Yeah, or just get the
Like Anakin
They
style.
let him live. I was like, well, damn.
Yeah,
He was that insufferable off the beginning. Like you're just like,
See, the reason that was okay with me is because it was so obvious he was meant to be insufferable.
Yeah.
Like he was meant to be a teenage douchebag.
It was too on the nose, though.
Yeah.
It was too obvious.
well,
Like,
yeah,
no
that's
one is
part of the-
that insufferable in real life.
Yeah, that's part of the bad acting.
Like,
I mean, the acting of it was
like-
fine. That was just bad character writing. Like-
okay. Okay. This is a very small part of the movie, and we're spending this much time on it.
Because it's that annoying.
But it wasn't-
Exactly. It's
but
that annoying.
It wasn't
No,
a
no, I
small
mean-
part, though.
Exactly.
It really wasn't. It was 30 minutes of this
right, yeah, it was-
movie.
right.
And then like
But-
he did come. The kid came back to it later when they were on the island. He was like, "Nah, I'm lazy as hell. I know. If you're that self-aware." And you still chose to do that in the middle of the ocean when this guy's been up all night on watch and you've been sleeping and you can't take over for like 6 hours. He was, it was fine. He played his character the way the character was meant to be written, which was insufferable, but like.
He did it well.
You're
he
not
did
mad at
that
him.
fine. I'm not mad at him.
Yeah.
But no, so like, yes, that scene wasn't that long, but that family subplot
Ugh.
It was
was through the
pointless.
entire movie.
It was
Yeah.
pointless.
It was pointless.
You
No.
could have accomplished the same thing in a 5-minute segment.
Now, I will say, it wasn't entirely pointless. And Cynthia and I talked about this last night. That family was there to give Duncan's character motivation to save them at the end. Because getting into Duncan's backstory,
Mahershala
Ali's character, when they were talking with Scarlett Johansson's character on the boat, he was saying, yeah, I'm not with my wife anymore because we lost our kid and we have a hard time being together. So that family is the reason he was so adamant to go save them. He
like a
wanted to
redemption arc.
yes, exactly. Like he couldn't save his own kid. He wanted to save someone else's kid, which is why he was the one to say, this is my boat. We're going to go save them. And also at the end, why he sacrificed himself. So like they were there for a reason. They didn't need to be there for 50% of the
Yeah.
movie though.
And my problem with that scene specifically, like where ScarJo and Duncan are talking and like trauma dumping at each other, like Scarlett Johansson's character is talking about how she was on a mission and she just lost her partner in the field from like a routine thing that should have, it was training and he died and she was, having a lot of PTSD and shouldn't have been back in the field that early. And she was like, so please tell me you fix things with your wife. And then he was like, no. That whole scene, like, it fit the plot. I understand why it was there. But with every scene surrounding it, it literally felt like, here we're on this boat, hard cut, trauma dump, hard
Shoehorn?
cut.
Shoehorn?
Yeah. I mean, like, cut, trauma dump, cut, back to the movie. It felt so unnaturally placed. And
that was
it was,
really
it
the
felt
only
like,
scene that was that heavy.
yeah, it
So,
felt like they filmed the whole movie and they were like, oh, wait, we didn't explain any motive. Let's go back and add this scene in. And it just,
Might have. Yeah.
yeah, I just didn't like it.
Okay.
It fit the plot, but it did not fit the movie.
That I would say the first hour of the movie, nothing is wrong. It could have been tighter and it could have been edited better.
Also on the boat. That was the main point where there was some acting. I mentioned this in the spoiler-free review. The delivery of some lines and the reaction to some lines and just the interaction of the characters literally felt like first or second takes that they just decided to move on from.
We got it.
Yeah, I mean, it was, I mentioned in the other one, I visibly cringed at some of the delivery of some of the lines. And it wasn't like, oh, this character is supposed to be annoying, this is supposed to be an awkward moment or anything. It was just like watching a middle school play. Like, it was bad. I love middle school
That's really
plays. They're
harsh.
fine.
Oh my
but
gosh.
there were, and it wasn't
Jeez.
every scene, but there were some. I wish I could remember some of the exact lines, but I was too busy wincing at the screen.
Hey guys, I would love to do another take on this, but every frame of the T-Rex costs $50,000. So we just can't. All right. One and done. Let's go.
There weren't even any dinosaurs in those scenes.
If I was to fix this movie, no, I would have kept the family. It would have been a much shorter thing. I would have had them go get the family. The family's gone. The rest of it proceeds pretty much as it was, right? They still get the giant jaws blood or whatever they need, the megalodon. And then they go about their mission. The same bad things that happen can still happen, right? They still crash. They're still stuck on the island. And then towards the beginning of the third act, where we're trying to get to the city, that's when you realize the family survived too. And it's an additional complication
Kind of like a surprise.
to
type
try
of-
to get everyone out. Yeah.
We didn't need to
Yeah.
keep bouncing back and forth between, oh, this is here, now this is here, now this is here, and then they finally meet up. Like,
Yeah. Cause like
they
it's
got to the island. Let's
like-
do the storyline. Here's the
yeah,
family.
but like I would have almost saved it like as a surprise.
Mhm.
Because good writing isn't and then. its butt.
Mhm.
Okay? So as we're careening towards the end, going into that third act, we're getting ready for extraction. Everything is more or less going well. Things are going great. But the family survived, and now we have to take care of them too. It adds to problems instead of just dragging out the same problem that we've been watching for 2 hours.
And it doesn't change Duncan's motivation. He still
Correct.
would have had that
Mhm.
moment to
Correct.
save the family.
And in fact, it
He
could
already
come
did
across
that.
as more of a instinctual, guttural, I just have to do this.
I mean, he did that as right after that scene with him and Scarlett's character. No, it was right after that.
Yeah.
That's when we learned it. But he had already
It would
had
at
that
least come back
motivation.
around,
It would have
though, yeah.
it would have been like, oh, that's why he decided, we're 2 miles away, but let's turn the boat around 28 miles this direction. And then you have that
Yeah.
moment of, oh, this is why he did
Yeah.
it. Get rid of the family.
Yeah.
You had your time.
Which is
And
weird.
it could have added to his motivation. Sorry. Could have added to his motivation. He tries to do the thing to go save the kids, and they're not there. So he feels like he's failed again. And that could bother him for the rest of the movie.
Mm.
And then the self-sacrifice right at the end
Mhm.
is his aha moment where he can make it matter.
It still would have.
I'm not saying I'm a better writer than Hollywood. I'm just saying I can do it.
So we're dumping on this movie a lot. Obviously, if you have not seen it, Josh and I gave it a 4 out of 5. Christian and Jason weren't too far below that. Cynthia's really the only one that dumped on this movie. But it's kind of fun to talk about all this negative stuff because it was just like, why did they mess it up that easily? It was
Yeah.
just some very obvious things they did wrong. So I do want to stick on this family just for a little bit longer before we start getting into just other stuff.
They really were the biggest problem.
They were
in the
the-
movie.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to say they added more unnecessary stuff onto the unnecessary stuff.
Mhm.
What the hell was up with that damn baby dinosaur?
I liked the baby dinosaur.
That was
It was
a
cute.
It was a cute
It was the baby Yoda.
grab
Dolores?
for Dolores. I was just
Merch.
Well,
Right.
yeah, I was going to
Merch.
say
Merch.
Yeah.
I
And
was
also-
like, this is like, no, this is
That's why the backpack was cute. The dinosaur was
Yeah.
cute.
right.
Merch.
I mean,
Right,
Corey
right, yeah.
mentioned this. He mentioned this may or may not get into one of my other big issues with it, but the little girl, what was her name, Bella?
Yeah.
She
Sure,
was very
Isabella. More than likely,
traumatized.
yeah.
How old? She was what, 7, 8?
Yeah.
At
Obviously,
most.
very traumatized by this repeat crisis
She's
that's been
not gonna be
happening.
okay.
But she's not even talking. She's
I even leaned over to
shutting
Christian.
down.
I was like, she is never getting in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's shutting down. She's gone mute at a point in the movie, and then you get Dolores. So it's like, oh, this is cute, some of the dinosaur, yada yada yada, whatever. That had its moment, and then suddenly she was just fine. And the hero,
Right.
she's.
Hey,
I'll
she
get
needed,
into
she
the,
needed time to shine.
I'll
time to
get
shine.
into the end and my big problem with it. But one of the things we said, or one of the things Josh said about the dinosaurs, they're not ultra smart anymore. They're acting like animals. They're unpredictable. That's great. If they were actually, it went so far beyond acting like animals, they stopped acting the way I would expect a dinosaur to act. You can't tell me these dinosaurs have been living alone, thriving on this island, mutants, for 17 years, and they can't catch the easiest prey that's ever walked on the island. Not just once, not twice, but 80,000 different times. There's a close escape, and there's a T-Rex that is the
So-
dumbest creature to ever live.
Yeah, so I didn't know
How?
Yeah, there's a point to that.
Well, he's got a big head and little arms.
It took me so far, it took me so far out of the movie at that point that she's dragging this loud ass boat down the
Well,
dock.
okay, so let's go ahead and talk
Okay.
about the raft scene. So I was trying to get to that. So thank you.
Yeah. Sorry.
So
Oh.
sticking with the family for just a couple more points, let's actually talk about the leg real
Oh,
quick.
I have a point about that too.
Yeah, was it
Yeah.
broken or not?
Yeah.
Right?
Dad's leg, the dad's leg.
As-
I
yeah,
can't move my leg, and now I was walking.
It
on
sounded
Yeah.
like it snapped.
it did.
Yeah.
I heard
Yeah.
a snap, and
Yeah.
then on the boat, he literally was sitting there, and it's not, oh, I can't bend my knee, I can't wiggle my toes. It's, I can't move my legs, sweetheart.
Yeah.
And then they get to the island, and he grabbed a stick to start walking. I was like, okay, cool, that's fine. And then less than in the universe, 12 hours later, he is full on running, sprinting, jumping, not making faces.
Okay, but if you're trying not
fine.
to die,
Adrenaline.
I said,
but
okay,
something
adrenaline,
snapped.
maybe.
They added a sound effect of a bone breaking.
yeah, he took it like a man.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly
Corey
what
was like,
happened.
he walked it off, rubbed some dirt in it. That one, you can't go past that. I mean, he at least needed to have a big wound or something. There was one scene, I think they were in the underground tunnels or whatever, and he was fully crouched down,
So
It was-
Jason, you seem like you have some thoughts about it.
I kind of want to get away from the family. I think we've kind of
So
beat
do
that
we.
horse to death.
Yeah, we got another scene to talk about. So,
I mean, they were pointless, honestly, and I mean, they weren't horrible, but the whole plot line with them was pointless. Like, there's way more of the movie to talk about.
They were the plot convenience over and over and over again.
Well, it's because they're helpless. So if they don't get plot convenienced, they don't survive.
So let's bookend the negativity with the family with the raft scene with the T-Rex. The big T-Rex scene, really, it's like the only T-Rex scene in this movie, which was kind of sad because like they're the big iconic.
Yeah, but
dinosaur.
I kind of liked it though because it kind of turned it into a cameo, kind of.
I guess.
Right. I mean, he's kind of like rolled on his side asleep. You're like, oh, he's cute. He's cute. Look at the T-Rex.
Yeah, I was like,
Look at the T-Rex.
why are we treating the T-Rex like a little puppy?
Right?
Yeah.
It's weird.
I don't know, it felt right to me. I
like
kind of liked it.
I
Yeah.
liked that part because it was like, oh, it is this dinosaur in its natural habitat.
He just
being a
chilling, dog.
But
Let's back it up
it can
a little
move
bit.
so fast.
Even
and it
just
wasn't
with the idiocracy of the daughter dragging this raft as loud as possible.
as loud as possible. She had
right
an
by the
alcove.
T-Rex.
She had an alcove to hide in that the T-Rex's head could not have fit into.
So that was really the biggest negative thing, aside from just the family as a whole for this movie, is that there were things in this movie that just took
Didn't
me
make
out
sense.
of the believability of the world, which is usually one of Jason's criticisms with movies, is that it has to at least be realistic for the established world in that film. We've seen tons of Jurassic Park movies at this point where T-Rexes, if there's even the slightest bit of noise, they're going to be on you. And she is doing nothing to be quiet.
Nothing at all.
Like,
You know, I was trying to find some sort of logic for what was going on. I was thinking maybe, because you saw the carcass, but maybe he was full. And maybe not as
knocked it.
food.
He had that itis.
Maybe not as food driven as he or she could have been.
Mhm.
I made an assumption here. I'm sorry.
Sexist.
I was sexist.
How dare you,
I
Jason.
did.
There's no room for that here.
I know. So maybe they, maybe they were not as hungry as they could have been.
Yeah, you don't even know how it identifies, man.
I know. I
Like,
made it a huge assumption, and I'm sorry. But I think at some point, you're right, dragging all the noise, dragging the raft, and then also they open the raft.
Yeah.
On the dock.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
but why?
do we even know why they needed this boat?
No.
they were gonna get.
Well, they're giving Dad with the broken leg
Who's
a
been
break
walking
from
they're gonna
walking,
go down
Fine.
the stream. Yeah.
which
they said-
because of that raft, that's his miraculous recovery.
Right,
Because he got to ride in the raft
Right.
for a little while.
Now they did say on the side of the raft that if you don't inflate it, it will sink.
It will sink to the
Yeah,
bottom.
And I'm wondering if that's why that's their explanation for her opening it on the dock.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
it had a thing on the side that said, must open on land. Bag will
Right.
sink if you don't open it on land. And they zoomed in and it was like, oh, she's going to be an idiot.
I
But-
don't also see why you couldn't drag it across the.
Yeah.
I don't know. Anyway,
And then,
Well, yeah, because she had, when she's like went across, she got a little bit deeper as she got into the middle.
yeah.
And so if she would have brought it back to the other side, it would have sank.
That's a good
Oh,
point.
yeah,
They didn't
okay.
emphasize that she's
all right.
Yeah.
okay.
And I think, to be fair, maybe our expectations are too high for how people act when they're panicked.
Well, to that point, I was talking with Cynthia that, the movie really emphasized that dinosaurs have kind of been removed from society at this point.
They're boring.
They isolated themselves. People have kind of just forgotten about them because they're nothing new anymore.
They're now commonplace.
and
Yeah.
they're commonplace, and maybe they have forgotten just as a society that dinosaurs are dangerous. And so
Sure.
she has forgotten because she's a little kid that she doesn't know that she needs to be more cautious around.
Yeah.
them.
Except,
Her entire life, dinosaurs have been real.
but at this point, like, they've been on the island. They've watched things get attacked.
Yeah.
They've seen the dinosaurs. They have watched multiple people die at this point. And then the one they're not scared of is the T-Rex. And for the raft, they get in the raft. They're sailing. The T-Rex is incredibly slowly chasing after them and missing them underwater. And
lumbering
then,
would be the word.
He's
And-
full.
Lumber.
He's
Yeah,
full,
right,
man.
full, right.
Got that
and
itis.
then, my biggest issue in that scene is not with the T-Rex, it's with the raft. Because you have a scene where Bella, she gets separated. She's hiding under the raft. Smart little girl. She's hiding under the raft. The T-Rex, leans down, his teeth you see pushing into the
Mhm.
raft. That's fine. It doesn't puncture anything. Then the T-Rex picks up the raft, big chomp, picks up the raft in its mouth, folds it in half, and spits it back out, and then we don't see it again for a second, and then, Bella gets over, and there's this whole moment of this little jump scare of the raft popping up. And
I was going to say, that is the only time I jumped in the movie.
But then,
that scared the hell out of me.
the raft pops up, and you're like, oh, it's just the raft. And it is pristine. I mean, not just not punctured, it's
tear resistant.
Clean. And it was
under the water.
Comical to me. Like, it was supposed to be a little bit of a relief. It was comical and stupid.
I was like, this is very much a Disney movie happening.
Yes, that all of a sudden it's like, we didn't get eaten by the dinosaur, even though we all should have died 18 times. Here's your beautiful raft. Sail away into the sunset and have another hour of this movie.
So that's the plot convenience that we're talking about.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Oh.
Interestingly enough, and I agree with you on that. However, that's actually one of the scenes that kind of reminded me of a Steven Spielberg.
Yeah, that stuff happens in Steven Spielberg movies.
If you think about Temple of Doom, the raft coming out of the airplane, that they're sitting on the raft instead of getting parachutes. They're sitting on the raft. It lands on the slope, and then it starts going all the way down. Then they go into the jungle, and then they land in the river completely unscathed. It's something about rafts with Steven Spielberg, I think.
That's his thing.
Also,
they call it a lifeboat for a reason.
Of the Last Crusade, where Indiana Jones' hat comes back after it's blown off the cliff.
Yeah, but I think
I'm just telling you, like, this is it.
It's established movie lore.
But at the same time, it reminded me of Steven Spielberg quirks.
Yeah.
So what? That actually happened a couple times in this movie.
Yeah,
like
it did.
When Jonathan Bailey fell off the cliff after dropping the sample, and like he fell all the way down.
That was
and then it lands right next to it. Yeah.
And see,
I like that.
Yeah,
it reminds me of old movies.
The raft thing, like being pristine, it could have passed. I would have been like, oh, that's super convenient. Obviously, they have to survive. They're main characters. It would have been okay if there hadn't been so many things in that same scene leading up to it that at that point I was like, come on.
They should be dead.
Like, they should not only be dead, they should be dead 14 times over. And now if they put some dirt on the raft, it would have made it a little better. But it was, squeaky clean.
It was under the water, Cynthia. It got washed off.
Out of the T-Rex's mouth.
Speaking of squeaky clean, me and Josh's obsession with Corridor Crew, that we're talking about like CGI and shadows, where the snoot or snout,
both work.
The nose of the T-Rex was like poking through, and like everybody's face looked weird because they were trying to like show a shadow on their face from his snout.
Yeah,
and I was like,
that's not a real shadow.
That like you could have done this way better, like practically.
Yeah,
like all it was just like a big nose coming through a thing, have a pool, have the things coming through. But no, they chose CGI and it was weird. Yeah.
Well, I will say, talk about that rap just a little bit more. Another scene where it's reminiscent of the first movie where he's biting down on the raft, the little girl underneath it. It was very much the Jeep scene from the first
with the
movie.
glass, the glass that never should have stayed together. Miraculously holding it.
Yeah, plexiglass.
Yeah, but then they moved on. Then they didn't bring the Jeep back in perfect
didn't pop
condition.
Up under the ground.
It wasn't new from the dealership after that.
It wasn't the Jeep.
But no, it wasn't new.
And we're back in the car again.
All right, so let's move away from all the negativity. Let's talk about the deaths of this movie.
Okay.
The depths or the deaths?
The depths of the deaths.
The depths of the deaths.
The peak.
So just changing it up a little bit. So just let's go through the deaths because I think one of the best parts of this movie
is always people getting eaten.
Is get the people getting eaten.
Yeah,
they did.
They did it well.
They did.
So the very
I
first
enjoyed watching people get eaten by dinosaurs.
It was great, wasn't it?
That's why we went.
It was great. So that very first one was probably the most satisfying.
Yeah, because he was just a douche.
He was a
douche.
He was just
I completely forgot about him till just now.
Yeah, he was forgettable.
Also,
he was the bad guy in Deadpool.
He was eatable.
Oh, is he?
Was he really?
That was
that was
Ajax.
Huh.
Yep.
Wow, that's why I didn't like him.
Yeah,
but no, like I didn't see it coming, especially that early in the film.
Yeah, no, he got eated.
Like, I kind of thought he was going to at least make it to the island.
I don't remember how he got eaten.
He was on the boat.
He was hanging off the boat, and one of them just got him.
Oh, yeah.
And then he's like hanging on the door, and he's like,
Yeah.
And then he super died.
Snatched. He's real dead.
Was that as satisfying to everyone else as it was to me?
Yeah.
It's like it wasn't.
Yeah, it was real good.
Yeah.
There was no writing on the wall for it happening.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm probably a little different in this regard. I am not I don't need to see people die. I don't need people to die.
They're dinosaurs, Jason.
I'm just
they
saying,
eat things.
I like. Okay, for me, one of the best deaths was the one that we didn't see. It was when
behind
the
very next one on the beat.
Yeah, that was that when she was behind the cargo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
that was fantastic.
That one was good.
That one was like that was left up to my imagination, and I think was probably one of the more horrifying ones to me because it was just like, oh, sorry. Oh shoot!
It's also one of those ones that you kind of like saw coming.
Put a dinosaur roar over.
Well, yeah. Like they isolated her. It's like
she's by herself. This big thing she's trying to get into. Oh yeah, she's gonna die.
She's gonna die.
Work.
Yeah. Yeah. For way that how they filmed it. Yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah.
Also, I liked how the sail, the fin, it blended in.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
because
when it got up, everyone was like,
yeah.
I didn't even see it.
Well,
that was the point.
Because all of the cargo was black with orange accents, emergency equipment, and this sailfish or sail dinosaur was black with orange accents. So it kind of blended in with everything else, and then it popped up. You're like, oh,
she about to die. Can I tell you what bothered me about the deaths?
Sure.
Every single time somebody died, and like, how would I react if somebody I knew was being eaten by a dinosaur in front of me? I don't know, but I probably wouldn't call the name over and over and over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
After they're long dead, and you're not even yelling their name with despair. You're just like, hey, here's your name. I hope you can hear me. I see you have one leg left, but I hope.
Why are you still going that way? I'm over here.
Your head is already in the stomach of this dinosaur, and your arm is floating up to the beach. But let me keep calling your name and standing in the same spot, watching these dinosaurs eat you.
I felt the same way.
Because it wasn't just one time, and like it wasn't just the shock of my friend's been eaten. I'm going to say their name over and over. It was every death. Somebody different just stood there and yelled their name, and like no awareness of are other dinosaurs coming for me. They
Cover
just
and
stood
concealment,
there.
folks.
They
Cover
just
and concealment.
stood there. There were so many times in this movie where they didn't run and hide. They didn't even move. They didn't even look scared. They just stood there while the dinosaurs got closer and stared at them. Like, no trying to hide at all. No even looking for shelter. Just, I'm going to stand here. I'm scared. Move on. And then they didn't get eaten. And then they didn't die.
Hide in plain sight. That's it.
Yeah.
But let's move around and make a lot of noise while we do it.
Yeah.
Actually, try to make yourself look big.
Play dead.
Yeah, I don't care if you're behind me. It's whatever.
Now, there were some other deaths in the film, but I do want to go ahead and fast forward to the last death scene.
You mean Duncan's death scene?
Duncan's death scene.
Yeah.
Jason,
how did you feel about that?
How did you feel? Was that earned?
No.
Oof.
I didn't want him to die.
Yeah.
I'm glad he didn't die. You didn't see. There were a couple things that they could have done to make that more earned that he survived. One was you could have seen him get rid of the flare,
Which would have been a good callback.
Mhm.
Yeah. He was like laying up against some thick roots and branches. He could have gone under that, but instead he just stayed there with as the crazy dinosaur thing.
D-Rex.
The D-Rex was
Yes.
going to get him. And also where he ended up didn't make sense compared to where he
Yeah, it
was.
really
No.
So
It really
I'm
didn't.
sorry. It's like there must have been a rip in the space-time continuum for where he ended up versus where he started.
You just missed the part of his backstory where he was an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
Right.
No, he's actually a day walking vampire.
I was about to say this is his test for the Blade movie. But I mean, I really I was glad that he survived. Again, they didn't stick the landing on it.
I knew you were going to feel that way.
Was I right?
But so, like, I agree with you. Like, I didn't want him to die.
Right.
It's like when I saw that he was going to sacrifice himself, I'm just like, no, he
Yeah,
has to
right.
make it to the end.
Yeah.
But then he came back and I was like, well, okay. At least they listened to me, but he should have died.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
Not like this.
I mean, it's like you have to follow the trajectory of writing. If you're going to write it this way, it must end this way. And this is what the problem is that it doesn't follow the trajectory. They wrote it this way, and it should have ended this way, and it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
They should have written it in such a way that him popping up wherever, I mean, they were near pipes and whatever else. He could have gotten sucked under and like popped up in a pipe somewhere else and got spewed out in the lake or something at a different location. Like maybe he was swimming to a suction pipe, whatever. So it just didn't track.
The one that got me was when they were all climbing back up the rock face, and Homeboy got up there in the mouth of one of the things.
That's right.
That one, I didn't see that one coming.
wait,
That was
what?
a quasicockle.
Sure.
The reason you don't remember is because that was like the most unneeded character of the entire movie. I don't think we ever even knew his
The
name.
French guy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The other captain of the boat.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh, the
remember
other
when he
black
got
guy.
eaten.
Yeah.
I remember when he got eaten.
Like,
Corey was trying not to be racist.
yeah. Well, like, you knew
all like it is.
you knew right from the get-go he was expendable.
Oh, so
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Along with him and the other person that died on the beach.
The girl.
Like,
Yeah.
they didn't do any setup for them. So like you were like, nah.
I don't
they're not
remember either of their names.
Yeah.
I don't think they ever really.
dying. Like, I
They
was
said
surprised.
them at one point, but
Like I was surprised he made it as far as he did to the cliff.
Yeah.
But-
yeah, I remember him getting snatched.
Snatched.
Snacked.
But speaking of reminiscent, there we go. That's the word. Scenes we were talking about, like
Yeah.
when the pharmaceutical guy died.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, he thinks he got away. Ha 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 ha.
Mhm.
Stomp.
That was a very much of a Newman scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's actually talk about the
Memory.
characterization. So like that pharmaceutical guy, I actually kind of started off in the movie liking him at the beginning. Like it seemed like he was, a pharmaceutical guy, but it seemed like he had good intentions. And it seemed like he wanted to stick to those intentions for the most part throughout the movie. I don't like his third act turn to be straight up bad guy.
Well, that wasn't a third act turn.
Yeah, that was a first act turn.
When he let the girl
When he
fall off
let
the
girl
boat.
die.
Yeah, this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But-
he
Yeah.
established himself as a schmuck right off the bat.
But
But
that's the thing too.
yeah.
It's like he's from a pharmaceutical company, and then him not saving the girl made them be like, maybe he's not a bad, like he's not a good guy. That
And then he let
that
the
was the
facade
thing.
down. Yeah, right? It really wasn't until after that, like after the audience knew that had happened, that he let the facade down. But like to everybody else, nothing had changed until the
Yeah,
very end.
right.
And it was suddenly like, aha, I'm a big bad guy. I'm a villain. Aha.
I feel like for once I didn't want there to be the human bad guy.
Yeah, and I would say that up to that point, I was noticing that everybody was getting along.
Yeah.
Which was different for this type of movie.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it. It was like it freed up space for other things.
Yeah.
You got rid of the human conflict, and it was allowing space for other things. And I kind of, it was fresh. I
Yeah.
liked it. And then he became a straight up schmuck. And I was like,
I think it could
Straight
have.
up schmuck.
If I was making this movie,
I'm not saying I write better than Hollywood, but if I did,
okay. First off, is that a particularly high bar?
No.
Okay.
not for this movie.
So no, I mean, I would have kept his third act arc the same, but I think I would have gotten rid of the scene at the beginning of the movie where he doesn't save the girl.
Yeah, that's
I
what
would
feels out
have-
of place to me.
Yeah, like I would have like again, that's your butt.
Yeah.
At the end of everything is going well, but turns out this dude is totally willing for everyone else to die as long as he gets off the island, and will maybe even kill you to make sure he gets off the island.
Because like honestly, him not saving the girl on the boat didn't really factor into the plot line at all, except for
She's mad
him-
at him.
well, yeah, except for like it gave him the motivation to want to grab that gun in the jungle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because he thought he might have to,
Well,
make his point more heard.
the family wouldn't have gotten off the boat if he hadn't kicked her off the boat.
Sure.
So
That's
there's
a
that.
good point.
Yeah.
They could have just also like, oh, they all fell off.
Right. They could have hidden that scene as well. And then
Correct.
flashback. to that.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like it could have. Again, I don't dislike what they did. I hate how they did it.
Yeah.
And I don't even hate it. Like it was fine, but yeah, like that could have been again another point of conflict that does not arise until the end of the movie.
Mhm.
to further escalate the stakes.
Yeah.
So they just showed their hand too early.
Okay, I agree with that. Let's talk about the comedy before we bring it around to the end of the film. So the comedy of the film, Jurassic Park has always had some comedy elements. How do we feel about in this movie? Like we had the Altoids scene.
that was
That was
actually
funny.
Yeah.
that
And
was
it
a
came
good
around
running
a couple
gag.
of times.
It
That
did.
was a good running gag.
So, do we like the gags in this film?
Yeah, they were fun.
Yeah, they were.
They
Yeah.
never bothered me.
The
And they
humor actually
usually-
was on.
Yeah, they usually did make me laugh.
The humor was on. I think the chemistry between Scarlett Johansson and
Jonathan Bailey?
Jonathan Bailey was actually very good.
Yeah.
It was like it was walking that romance line, but
I like it, but didn't
that
go all the way
that
in.
didn't
Yeah.
cross that. It was like
Yeah.
there you could tell there was maybe something.
They
there.
might have coffee
They're-
after
right,
this.
They might have coffee after this if
Yeah.
they're not completely traumatized. Well, they trauma bonded.
Correct.
Yeah,
So
they did.
Mm.
Speed taught us about
Yeah.
that.
And the relationship, the backstory and the long relationship of Duncan and Scarlett. What's Zara?
I can't even.
I can't remember.
Zora.
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 I don't
Yeah,
remember.
Duncan and Zora. Yeah.
Aside from Duncan, I don't remember anyone's name.
Duncan's
Okay.
such a good name.
Because he was the only one with a normal person's name.
I
Yeah.
thought
Yeah.
I thought until literally the end of the movie. It was like right before the big last scene. I thought the oldest daughter's name was Vanessa. Turns out it's Teresa.
It's Teresa.
I heard Vanessa the whole movie. I think
Um,
that's just a me problem, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember a single
maybe
other
that's something to the
character's name.
sound editing. Or,
but I think that's me. But I don't remember a single
but,
other character's name.
But yeah,
except-
but I think hers and Duncan's backstory and relationship was actually pretty good too.
I like it.
And so when you pointed out earlier that those three characters had the best acting and the best story, I agree. I did enjoy watching the three of them. So yeah. Also, I did read a little bit of trivia.
Okay.
Apparently, what was that guy's name again?
Jonathan Bailey?
Jonathan Bailey. He plays the clarinet, and apparently he
He
played.
looks like a clarinetist.
He played the clarinet solo on the same scene where he's touching the large dinosaur.
I saw that today too. That was
That's
cool.
kinda cool.
So he actually got to sit in with the orchestra and play
That
his
is
own
really cool.
solo.
And I appreciate that the moment we heard the original theme for the first time, like full out was with the Brachiosaurus looking things, like a direct callback to the original. That was a good moment.
So I thought those little bits of trivia make a movie
Oh, yeah.
more significant to me.
Mhm.
But anyway, but those three together and his question of what are we really going to do with this subject matter, with this
The
product,
samples, yeah.
the samples. What are we really going to do with it? And have you really thought about what this means? It wasn't completely out of place. It didn't seem like they were trying to, hammer home an ideology. It was just like, we're risking our lives for this, and a lot of people can benefit from our big sacrifice that, it would kind of seem worth it. So I really like that aspect of it as well.
I don't know. If I went through all that and I didn't get my $10 million, I'd be pretty pissed. Just saying.
There's 2 days' work.
Who's gonna pay her now? Guy's dead.
That's
Yeah.
also true.
He was just a face for the company. The company's there.
I'm sure there's a contract.
That's written up somewhere.
All right. So let's talk about the ending with the big
D-Rex.
Rancor. So, first of all, I just don't like the hybrid monster thing of Jurassic World. Like, why did they ever go down that route?
Yeah.
Just stick to real dinosaurs. It's just
You're
weird.
asking for trouble too,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah.
And I mean,
So-
they made it a point to say like a disaster happened and they gave up on that whole thing. Like they left it and they'd been there thriving on their own for 17 years. It wasn't like they had continued, but I mean, they still did all the mutant stuff, but now these are the repercussions of it.
So it bothered me only because,
Mm-hmm.
and this might have just been like a filming thing, like just poor choice of cinematography or something, but the scale of that dinosaur kept changing.
The D-Rex.
The D-Rex, the big dinosaur at the end. Like when it grabbed the helicopter, it looked ginormous. But then when it was on the dock with the little girl, it looked like it was no bigger than
The T-Rex.
T-Rex.
Its
Like,
head was a little larger, but it
You're
wasn't
right.
taller.
It kept changing scale.
And like at the very beginning, I was like, oh, it was so small at the beginning. That one can be explained. It was 17 years prior. But also, like all the other times, the scale was just wildly off.
So you want to know what I wanted to happen? Has nothing to do with what you're talking about. So, but it is about the D-Rex. So I don't know what the little dinosaur was, the Dolores thing.
I think it was a triceratops.
I mean, that's kind of what the head was, but it also was on its rears
I
a
guess
lot.
it was also a hybrid.
Yeah. What I really wanted was for when the little girl was about to get eaten by the D-Rex, I wanted it to have been its baby, and it didn't do it. It was just trying to get its baby back the entire time.
I want my baby back.
Baby back.
So that was great. that would have been a Lost World thing. T-Rex trying to get his baby back.
Correct.
I actually would have liked that callback.
Yeah.
In that same vein, I was expecting maybe that the parent of it was tracking them the whole time and saved them against the D-Rex.
Yeah, that could have been good.
So, because otherwise, what other point would they have for that stupid little thing?
I like the stupid little thing.
It was merch.
It was the BB-8 of this movie.
It was a merch plug.
Merch.
It was.
I'm gonna get a little stuffed animal and I just put it right on the table.
Merch.
Okay. Jesus. That got terrifying. It was like kind of cultish.
The little thing, it's gonna pop up in the center of the table now.
Available on the website now. No.
So I do want to, the entire plot of the movie, once they got onto the island, their escape plan, the B plan, was to go out with that helicopter that was going to be hovering for 2 minutes. Obviously, the helicopter misses them, so it's starting to go away, which is when we first see the D-Rex. The clouds that kind of formed over the helicopter before the D-Rex appears, and the aura of that scene, where you're not sure where the helicopter went, where the D-Rex go, and it just appears out of the clouds with the helicopter in its mouth. That was so
cool.
That was cool.
That was cool.
So cool.
That was a moment where I was like, oh crap.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't gonna get picked up and get off the island with this, but
and then
good job. Yeah.
And then it shrunk.
Why
did it shrink?
It had the helicopter 100% of the helicopter held in its mouth.
Yeah. But then when the Jeep showed up, the Jeep looked huge compared to it.
Yeah.
It's like when you lose your star power, you shrink a little bit.
You got hit with a fireball. I already had my issues with... We have just issues of continuity with the way the characters were developed. So, the dad's leg. All right, I guess I'll just look over that gigantic plot hole I got forgotten. Walk it off. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The girl that, she was the little girl, ultra traumatized. She's 7. This little Dolores helps her. She's speaking again all of a sudden. Great, good for her. At no point in this movie did she act like a 7-year-old. Because I don't care how critical the situation is. If you are that age and you're standing on an island with the D-Rex behind you that is as massive as it was supposed to be, I suppose, and you just...
I suppose. You just decide, I can be the savior in this moment. Sure, let me be the hero and walk out through this gate because I'm the only one that can fit. And you go out, and then there's the D-Rex. And instead of freaking out or crying or showing any emotion on her face, she just calmly turns her back to the D-Rex and opens the gate.
Don't be mad just because she's braver than you are.
She is. But it was the, not freezing, she just seriously just calmly turned, and her family is like, what are you doing? Yelling, making a lot of noise, what you do when your child's about to be eaten by a dinosaur, and just
as one
super
does.
calmly opening this gate. She's 7.
My only thought was I have a 7-year-old, and he would have stood at that console and been like, I'm supposed to do what? Push the lever. What? Push the lever.
Dog lever. Yeah, that
was...
What? I know they had to have a hero. I know they had to end the movie. Thank God they ended the movie. But
come on, man.
The 7-year-old, and she didn't even get close to getting eaten. Come on. The D-Rex was standing there staring at all of them, and just his big head came up behind her and just watched her open the gate. And then
but also some big ones.
Yeah, also I really didn't notice that until that scene when he was standing behind her. I was like, what huh?
What was the name of the telepathic alien from Total Recall?
No idea.
God, I'm trying to remember.
Didn't one of the reviews mention that?
Was it Quaid? No, that's...
Does it matter?
Yeah, it does, because it reminded me of that telepathic alien from Total Recall.
Okay.
Anyway, I can't remember the
Put it in the comments.
Yeah. I think Quaid was Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. Anyway, the part that the ending was weak for me because they're all on an emergency lifeboat that's been sitting there for 17 years. It works, and they got as far away from the island as they could, where they were actually far enough along where they were with a school of dolphins or pod of dolphins. Sorry, was it pod?
Call back to the first movie.
Yeah, true. But I mean, but they got out of the hunting zone of the dinosaurs. And I was just like, that's not believable that boat would work and then also carry them that far. Also, how the hell were they going to survive that too?
Yeah, that was my big thing. Did they
Who's
have
picking them up?
Yeah, where are they going?
Yeah. Do they know? Does anybody know that they're missing, that they need help?
They still don't have any food.
To me, it was like, they're not out of this yet.
It kind of goes exactly the way you think it would go.
Yeah.
For better or worse.
I mean, and okay. Yeah, we dissected the hell out of it, but seriously, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Except for Cynthia.
I hit all my points, by the way.
It's a lot of fun. Go see it in the theater. It's a good popcorn movie. It's not going to win any awards, but
maybe best VFX. If it wins, it'll be technical awards.
Maybe best score.
No.
Nah. Even the score wasn't that
great. They can't because they're using an existing score. They still use John Williams.
Adapted score.
The best bits. Anyway.
I think
best use of John Williams.
Yeah, right. Well,
that should be a category.
No.
As many sequels as we get. Best use of John Williams.
I mean, we got Superman coming out, and
That's
they
true.
were using the John Williams Superman mark. So yeah, no, seriously, go see it in the theater. Go enjoy yourself.
I think you hit it on the head though. It is a popcorn movie.
It really is.
It is a summer movie. Most of our complaints, I would actually chalk up to we're taking it too seriously.
Yeah, we're being nerds and
like it's a movie about dinosaurs. Yeah. Just go watch it. It's awesome. Yeah. Like it's like if we wanted to sit down and
cold open.
Like it's the same. It's the same reason you don't sit down and analyze the Transformers movies. That's not the point. It's about two giant robots beating the snot out of each other. This movie is about dinosaurs eating people. That's the whole point. The plot doesn't even matter. It was just an excuse to put the people with the dinosaurs. Okay? So quit overanalyzing it. It's a dumb popcorn movie and a pretty good one.
Yeah, Cynthia.
I feel like the dinosaurs that should have eaten the people were the dinosaurs that didn't act like dinosaurs and disappointed me the most, and the fish are the ones that ate the people. Which
You've seen like 4 movies.
Yeah.
5 now.
So my opinions are influenced by other...
Now, I do want to read an audience review on Rotten Tomatoes that I'm pretty sure was ghostwritten by Cynthia.
The disclaimer, we read this minutes after the movie. Was this the one that I was like, that's exactly what I was trying to say?
A movie filled with plot conveniences. As a Jurassic Park fan, I was truly looking forward to a refreshing take. However, the writers insult the intelligence of the audience throughout the entire movie. They lost me after the Treks chomped the emergency raft that somehow survived without any holes and continued to float down the river. If I could give this movie no stars, I would feel like I would need to go watch The Lost World or the original Jurassic Park to cleanse my mind. 1 out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not that bad.
I wish I'd read that.
It's not that
It's not that bad.
It's not bad. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
It was not a good movie.
We gave it a 3.5 out of 5 on the Eat Sleep Nerd scale. Josh and I gave it a 4 out of 5. Jason a 3.75. A Christian a 3.7. Cynthia 1.5. If you guys haven't done the math, I actually rounded up to the nearest half point because I was tired of those uneven numbers. 3.5. 3.5. It was like a 3.31 or something. I couldn't stand it. 3.5. But that's not bad.
Not bad.
That's not bad.
No.
It's a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid C. So, I mean, C's get degrees.
I would say a B minus.
I mean, B minus. Yeah, all right.
C plus.
Okay.
It literally means average. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's good. Go see it.
On a bigger note, go to the movie.
There you go.
Yeah.
Save the
That's the
movies.
takeaway.
That is our plan for this entire month of July. We are going to go see all the big blockbusters this month. Jurassic World Rebirth was just the first one of all of them. We're going to go see Superman next week, July 8th. Be on the lookout for that review. Same thing for this thing. We're doing the spoiler-free review, plus the spoiler discussion after that. And then later in the month, we're going to go see the new Fantastic Four first. There's so many
I
types of
imagined Corey running and then tripping over.
Fantastic Four first steps.
That's hard.
That is
Fantastic Four first steps.
Fantastic
Fantastic
Four.
Four first steps.
Four.
You have to stop after the second word for a second.
Fantastic
Yes.
Four, comma.
First steps.
First steps.
Fantastic Four first
The
steps.
first steps
Fantastic
of
Four
the
first
Fantastic
steps.
Four.
The phenomenal first steps of the Fantastic Four on film.
I'm
Finally!
flabbergasted.
Same thing with that one. Spoiler-free review, then spoiler discussion after that. And then, getting into August, we're going to be doing Naked Gun.
I'm actually really excited
Yeah.
for the Naked Gun.
Yeah, it's the summer of movies. We're back at it here on Eat Sleep Nerd. If you have not already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@eatsleepnerd. If you have not already, like this video, leave some comments down below. Feel free to join in on the spoiler discussion if you've seen the movie. Let us know what you agreed with and what you disagreed with about everything we said in this episode. Please share us with your friends and family over on social media. That goes a long way into supporting this channel. If you have not already checked out our actual review, that's probably up here somewhere and down there in the comments where we actually talked about why we gave this score for this movie. Now, Jason. You know
Sir.
what? No, I'm going to save yours for Superman. Christian,
What's up?
3 things nerds should be doing before they go check out this movie.
Eat, sleep, world.
Oh.
Take it easy, people.